What's up, guys? It's Showtime's Fight Forum. You already know what it is. It's your boy Showtime, where we talk all things fights. Make sure you like, subscribe, comment, and all that good stuff. Now, today's drop is going to be about boxing. I really haven't done boxing too much this year, so I got a lot of catching up to do as far as topics. Now, this is going to be a recap off of Jake Catterall versus Josh Taylor. It was up for the undisputed light welterweight belt, super lightweight, whatever you want to call it. And it was super controversial. Everybody had an opinion about it. Most people had the same opinion, which was Josh Taylor lost. And I'm one of the few who I do think he lost. However, I think the fight was much closer than everybody's giving credit. I don't think it was a super corrupt decision. Granted, I feel like it's a very similar fight to Floyd Mayweather versus Castillo. If anybody has ever seen Floyd fight Jose Castillo, that fight, the first one, extremely close. And a lot of people, a lot of experts had Floyd losing that fight. Now, the thing about that was Floyd, and this is why I have respect for Floyd, and the same thing with the Madonna fight, which was, if you think I lost, cool, I'm glad you think I lost. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna fight him again, make sure it's not even close, just to show you who's the better fighter. And that's the mindset of a true fighter. And with Josh, I feel like has to do the same situation because the fight was, in my opinion, close. A lot of people don't think it was that close. Some people had it 8-4 Catterall. I personally think that was insane. I don't think it was nowhere near that dominant of a win. However, to each his own. Especially towards the end, I thought Catterall really took his foot off the gas, and I thought that Josh Taylor was a lot more aggressive. So I could see him still in a lot of rounds in the later rounds. In the first few rounds, honestly, I ain't gonna say I had him like winning a bunch, but I did have him squeaking in some wins. Here's my issue. If there are rounds that are swing rounds, and there's a bunch of them throughout a fight, how do people get mad at scorecards? That's my biggest thing. Like, there is no clear winner in certain rounds. Certain rounds were really like, all right, he landed 2 more punches. And did any of them really matter? And not really. Oh, okay, it's a toss-up. You could have a bunch of those in a fight, but then you have clear rounds where Catterall clearly won, which was like, obviously when he dropped him. And then I think the first round, it was clear. Like, there was certain rounds where like, all right, that's clearly Catterall, I get it. But then there was a bunch of rounds that was like toss-up. So if you put up the toss-up and like, I'm gonna give it to the champ, okay, now we have a closer fight. I personally had a 7-5 Catterall, and I wasn't too angry at a person giving it a 1 or draw towards the fight. Yeah, I might be a little nice about it by saying it, but once again, I'm saying I thought Josh Taylor lost as well. I didn't think Josh Taylor looked as good as he normally does. I think he may have overlooked Catterall and was just like thinking about Terrence Crawford. Who knows, maybe the weight cut? Because I mean, realistically, Josh Taylor is a very tall guy for that division. He seems to be big for the position. I mean, for that weight class. So we will see once he bumps up to 147, which is what he seems to want to do. However, after that fight, I don't think he can. I think the number one thing that you need to do is rematch him. Do, like I said, the Floyd route. Rematch him, beat him up, and then go to 147. Now, that's probably gonna lose you the fight towards Terrence Crawford. However, it gives you respect and credibility for a fight down the road, possibly, if Terrence Crawford doesn't go up to 154. But Catterall looked good. I mean, he looked like a smooth boxer. And I just didn't like Josh Taylor's game plan. I thought he was trying to rush for a knockout. I don't know what it was. It was like every single time he's a lanky fighter, but he was trying to fight in close way too many times, and he was just getting picked apart at times, and it was just not a smart game plan. You're a taller fighter, you're a little bit more, you're more lanky, more use your range. You kept smothering your own attacks. Anytime you smothered your own attacks, he would lock up with you, and then when it's far apart, you just really was stepping too close. Once again, he'll tie you up, or he'll just hit you with the 1-2. And it was he pretty much was doing the same thing throughout the whole entire fight. Towards the end, he stopped really throwing as much, and that's when I really started to think he was stealing rounds away. But yeah, and still, that wasn't the best Josh Taylor. I don't know if it was a weight cut, don't know if it was the game plan, don't know if it was the motivation, but that was not the best version of Josh Taylor. I do want to see him rematch him. So hopefully that is what happens, but if it don't, I mean, that's boxing. I mean, Teofimo Lopez just lost and got dropped, and he doesn't even want to rematch Kambosos, even though Kambosos was willing to give him a rematch, and he just rather go up, which I think was a very poor decision business-wise. It doesn't matter if you lose. I've said this before. Your O does not matter. Like, you can, like, how many L's have Manny Pacquiao had? And he was the second highest paid fighter in boxing when he was fighting. Who's the highest paid right now? Canelo. Guess what? He has a loss in his record as well. So that O really doesn't mean much. However, your respect does, your legacy does. And if you're still in your prime and you're not rematching these guys that beat you, that does say a lot about you, and that's gonna have you lose a lot of followers, and people are like, well, you know, we did lose to Kambosos, he did get dropped, oh no. So I'm not really feeling that. Now, you know, I kind of want to move also, since we're talking boxing, we have to talk about the pound for pound king, which is Canelo Alvarez, who signed a mega 2-fight deal, possibility of it being a third, fighting the light heavyweight champion, Bivol, in May, was it May 17th? And then after that, which is crazy to me, it's like, okay, well, I'm already gonna look past you and say, once I beat you, I'm gonna fight somebody else. He's fighting Triple G again in September. I mean, people are gonna complain. People are gonna complain about everything. That's the one thing, and I think Canelo knows that. Every athlete needs to know that. Like, going in, if you're a young, aspiring athlete, just know if you're gonna be famous, you're gonna be rich, know you're never gonna make people happy. No matter what decision you make, people are always gonna complain. No matter what happens, people are gonna complain. So do you, who cares? He obviously had a choice as well to fight Charlo Benavidez. He chose to go up and fight the bigger opponents, the bigger names. Well, Bivol's not the bigger name, but Triple G is the biggest name that he could fight. That's probably where he's gonna make the most money. And at the end of the day, there's a trilogy where psychopaths believe he lost twice. I'm cool with you saying he lost once, but if you think he lost twice, you were smoking angel dust, you need to stop. That didn't happen. He definitely lost the second fight. However, first fight is a big challenge. Bivol, where he started off looking like a big puncher, but he's not really much of a puncher. He's still the much bigger fighter. He's 6 feet. He's a pure light heavyweight. So it's not like he's like a person that was a super middleweight that just bumped up. No, this guy's a legit light heavyweight. He has really good feet, a very good boxer. And also, once again, he is the taller, lankier fighter. He has more of a reach. So this is a very tough opponent, one of the toughest opponents that he can face. People are gonna discredit it, but okay, cool. I guarantee Charlo wouldn't fight Bivol. Yet still, you know, you want to disrespect Canelo because you're a hater, whatever it is. That's going to be an amazing fight. Cannot wait to break that down when it gets closer. But Canelo is ridiculous. He's all about legacy, and he really doesn't care too much about making the money because he knows whatever he does is going to make the money he needs to make. He just wants to fight the best. So once he gets past that and he fights Triple G, who I do think Triple G is pretty washed up, but who knows, that fighting Canelo might just put some more in him, and then he is 40, but it might just give him that extra motivation. We might see a trilogy that is worth being an actual trilogy. I don't think it's going to end that way. I think Canelo's actually going to get the finish, but we'll see if once that fight actually does happen. And then the third fight, I think they said him going back up to him going to cruiserweight. Hopefully that's not true because you don't need to play with your body like that. Putting on that weight is not smart. But yeah, still, if he does, cool. If he does have a third fight towards the end of the year, I would prefer. He might choose a softer opponent because fighting Bivol and Triple G, then going to another person that's extremely tough, that's psychotic. But if he does it, I mean, respect to him, but I personally wouldn't. I probably would try to fight somebody lower end. But then next year, might try to go for the better BS, then go for the Benavidez or the Charlo. I don't think he should fight both. I think they both should fight each other. I also think Caleb Plant should get in there and also fight one of the three as well. It's ridiculous. These guys are all in the same weight class, but don't want to fight each other. They want to fight Floyd. I'm not Floyd. They want to fight Canelo. No, bro. Fight each other. That's what you're there for. You're in the same weight class, and you're 5 pounds apart. You want to fight Canelo. Prove you're even good enough to fight him. Some people say, what's Bivol doing? Bevol's in a whole other weight class. Oh, well, what about the super middleweights he fought? They all had the belt that he wanted. So of course he's gonna fight them. So yeah, Benavidez would have been one of the guys if he didn't, fail the drug test. Didn't miss weight. But he did that. That's self-inflicted. That's his fault. So yeah, we gotta stop hating Canelo. I'm super pumped about the move. He's fighting these tough opponents that a lot of people are scared to fight. And I mean, the guy's a dog. So obviously, as always, I wanna hear what you guys think. I know you guys think that it was a corruption as far as the Josh Taylor fight. I want to know your scores though, because if you think it was 8-4, like a lot of people say, I really have to ask why. What was the reason? But as always, leave a comment, like, share, trying to make this thing bigger. But as always, thank you guys for watching. This is Showtime's Fight Forum. Make sure y'all stay blessed.